Okay, good evening. Everyone hear me okay? I'd like to call this regular meeting of Council to order April 8th, 2025, 6 p.m., Council Chambers, Town of St. Mary's. We are broadcasting live on the Town of St. Mary's YouTube channel. The Council for the Town of St. Mary's acknowledges with gratitude and respect that we are gathering on the traditional lands of the Haudenosaunee people of the Longhouse, giving thanks for all creation. I'll begin this evening by asking for declarations of pecuniary interest, starting with Councillor Craigmile.
None.
Councillor Edney?
None.
Councillor Luna?
None.
Councillor Lucas?
None.
Councillor Pridham?
None.
Councillor Alward?
None.
And I have none. The agenda was circulated. Are there any errors or omissions with the agenda? I just have one note. We do have a presentation tonight by the Girl Guides, and they may be a little bit late. So I just, if council's okay, we may just move some things around when they come to accommodate them. It's like 6:15, I think, Jenna, or something, that they're going to be here. So if everyone's okay with that, anyone else has a problem with that? Okay. Anything else for the agenda? Okay, so the suggested motion is the April 8th, 2025 regular council meeting agenda be accepted as presented. Someone willing to move that? Councillor Craigmile, seconded Councillor Luna. Any further discussion? Seeing none, I'll call the question. All those in favor? Motion's carried. Item number 4 is the public input period. I have nothing. The clerk did not receive anything. Okay. As I say, it'll be a few minutes before our delegation gets here this evening. So if everyone's okay, we'll fit that in when they come. And moving on then would be for acceptance of minutes. We have minutes for the March 25th, 2025 regular meeting of council. Any errors, omissions, or problems with the minutes as printed? Councillor Luna?
Thank you. Not a problem, just a question. On page 19 of our agenda, the resolution regarding the U.S. tariff information, the last that is that we're going to bring back a report on a temporary procurement policy. I'm just wondering who's doing that and when we can expect that, because I think it should be ASAP.
Mr. Gittler, can you do that?
Yeah, so through your worship, Mr. Moran will be looking after doing the research to bring back the procurement update. I know he and his team are working now to reach out to industry as well. That was part of the process. But Mr. Moran's on the line; he can provide an update.
Thank you. And through the mayor. So my conversation internally was to try to bring something back for the first meeting in May.
Okay, thank you, Andre. Anything further with regards to the minutes? Okay, so the suggested resolution is that the March 25th, 2025 regular council meeting minutes be approved by council and signed and sealed by the mayor and clerk. Someone willing to move that? Moved by Councillor Alward, second by Councillor Pridham. Any further discussion? Seeing none, I'll call the question. All those in favor? Motion's carried. Maybe, Brent, if you're okay, we'll maybe do the next report then, and then I think not everyone's here yet for the delegation, so are you okay to do one report, and then we'll see where they're at? Is that okay? So the next one being the report with regards to the transportation needs assessment. Mr. Kittner, please.
Yep. So thank you, worship. So this grant is something I had made council aware of many months ago that we had applied in partnership with municipality of North Perth for a transportation needs assessment. It took some time, but the federal government just gave us notice within the last month that we had received the grant. So if you'll recall, you have a strategic priority that asks us to research and develop options to fill the current gap in transportation options. One of the things that we've always flagged that we have an issue with is a lack of data. We don't necessarily understand what the demand is or what the market would bear, and really what the need of the public is. So essentially what this grant is striving to achieve is to find that information for us and fill that gap. What our vision is that we would recreate the process that we went through in 2018 and 19 when on the lead up to developing and designing the PC Connect transit service. So in this instance, North Perth is the lead applicant, and they've already done some work with Dillon Consulting. They seem to be the firm that is doing transit needs assessment the most frequently. So we do have a scope of work. And what would happen in this project is Dillon would go through a comprehensive community-wide engagement program. So there, like most of our community engagements, there would be a community survey asking people what they felt about their current transportation options in town that are offered, where they want to travel to, what type of day they're typically wanting to travel. There would be focus groups in the community, a meeting with council, and as well as a meeting with staff. Once Dylan understood what the market is and what the need is, they would then compare that against what we currently offer for transit options, including mobility, taxi services, other private uses, and PC Connect, and then design a concept transit plan that would fill some of the gaps and make some recommendations to us on how we might see public transportation work in this rural setting going forward. The project's a partnership project between us and North Perth. We're going to try and do a lot of the work together because we are very similar communities, but there's an understanding that we are different. So public engagement would occur here and specific to here. The transit plan that came forward would be a joint report, but would have specific recommendations to council. And then we would split the cost of the project after the funding. So the scope of work costs in the $70,000. We'd be responsible for sharing $35,000 of that with North Perth on a 50-50 basis, so around $17,000, $17,500. The project's not budgeted for, but as you'll note in my report, we did put $160,000 in reserve from 2024 that we wanted to direct towards a transportation-related project. So the recommendation is that council wishes to see this project go forward, we would fund it from reserve. So I'm happy to take any questions that you have.
Okay, thank you. Questions from council? Councilor Craigmile?
Excuse me. Thank you, Your Worship. It's not really a question, but Brent, I believe this is a extremely worthwhile project because I think it's going to help us decide what we need to do prior to the end of the year.
Okay, Councilor Lucas?
Thank you, through the mayor. Brent, will there be any consultation with Stratford as a partner or a possible partnership? Like, will there be some back and forth with them as well through this?
Through your worship, yes, there will be. So that's actually within the scope of work. Dylan's actually specifically identified that they would even just seek out an understanding of how Stratford Transit works and see if there's partnerships that could work there. Like that, we look at them as a partner to provide service, but also a partner just in, I guess, yeah, helping develop a more holistic regional service.
Okay. Anything further? Councilor Craigmile?
Thank you, Your Worship. When you talk regional service, I mean, when I go to different board meetings with different members from different communities around, take Grand Bend area, for instance, their vision and what's happening with things like PC Connect are very different than what's happening here, and it's really working well for them. So I think you talk regional, but every community has specific needs.
Okay, anything further? All right, I'll put the motion on the floor then. The suggested motion is amend 16-2025 RTSF Grant Local Transportation Needs Assessment Report be received, and the council provides approval for the Transportation Needs Assessment Project to proceed in partnership with the municipality of North Perth, and that the town's contribution be funded from reserve using surplus funds originally allocated in 2024 for PC Connect. Someone willing to move that motion? Moved by Councilor Pridham, seconded by Councilor Lucas. Any further discussion? Seeing none, I'll call the question. All those in favor? Motion's carried. Go on to the next one? Okay, we'll go on to the next report then. 8.2 Building and Development Services, and we have Mr. Stone and Mr. Brower this evening with us.
Yes, good evening. I'll be presenting this application tonight, Your Worship. I want to provide a brief overview of the application and report before you, but we thought before I do that, I'd provide a short refresher on the condo app process in St. Mary's. And we're doing this in part because we have traditionally seen a draft plan of condominium applications infrequently. But over the past few years, as you know, we are seeing increasing numbers of these applications, and we really don't see any change in this trend going forward. Again, as a refresher, the process of reviewing a draft plan of condominium is similar to the process for a draft plan of subdivision under the Planning Act. An application is filed, it's circulated, there's a review by the Planning Advisory Committee, and then draft approval is considered by council. And then following draft approval and fulfillment of conditions of a draft plan of subdivision, the plan can proceed to final approval and registration. At that time, the proposed lots or blocks are created. Now, the same holds true for draft plans of condominium. It allows for the plan of condominium to be registered, creating the conveyable units, and or establishing the common elements once all the conditions have been satisfied. And with respect to public consultation, there is no public meeting requirement under the Planning Act. And further, with most types of plans of condo, there are no public notification requirements at all. With the application and report before you this evening for 35 dwelling units and proposed common elements, including a private road, visitor parking spaces, fencing, snow storage, amenity areas. This development has been subject to extensive public review, even though there was no requirement for the plan of condominium application to be reviewed. It was reviewed when the zoning bylaw amendment was circulated to the public and reviewed by the Planning Advisory Committee last year. The public was notified again prior to the public meeting before council and was provided the opportunity to speak to it. And then the approval of the zoning bylaw amendment, which is now in effect, was included on a public council agenda. And as you surely know, in addition, there's been a site plan agreement registered on title before the first building commenced construction. So this evening, we are recommending draft approval subject to conditions. I mentioned that process in part because we will be bringing a report to you in future to detail an exemption process. And what we'll be talking about with you is a process that's permitted under the Planning Act. It's done in most municipalities in the province. And where there has been a lot of planning review by the Planning Advisory Committee, by council, a lot of input by the public through the process, an exemption provides the opportunity to move an application subject to criteria that we will set out and have to be satisfied for an application to move directly to registration without having to have conditions of draft approval in place. But again, we don't have that exemption process formalized. We are recommending conditions of draft approval. And Caroline Baker from Baker Planning Group is also here in attendance virtually, should there be any questions for her regarding the application. That's my overview, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, thank you. Any questions from council? It's a pretty straightforward process. We've done this before. Okay, seeing no questions, thank you all for attending this evening. I'll put the motion on the floor then. The suggested motion is a DEV 09-2025 application for draft plan of condominium DCP 01-2025 by Pole Quality Homes, Inc. for 428 Queen Street West. Report be received. And the council approves the draft plan of condominium DPC 01-2025 by Pole Quality Homes, Inc. for 428 Queen Street West, subject to the conditions shown in attachment 4 of report DEV 09-2025. So I'm willing to move that motion. Moved by Councillor Craigmile, second by Councillor Lucas. Any further discussion? Seeing none, I'll call the question. All those in favor? The motion is carried. All right, we have some visitors this evening. Welcome, everyone. Thank you for coming. So, this is our clerk, Jenna.
I would start with the cookies. we're really easily.
So welcome, everyone. We're really glad that you're here this evening with us. It's great when we have groups to come out and visit. I have one question. Did Brogan do a good job when he came to visit you guys? And was it okay? Or was he a little bit boring? Was it okay? Anyway, I'm sorry I wasn't able to make it, but I'll turn the floor over to Ms. Brockman, please. If you could introduce your group and please.
Absolutely. Do you have the? And that's on, perfect. There it is. There we go. So I am Jennifer Brockman. I am one of the leaders of the First St. Mary's Girl Guides and Pathfinders. You can, one more. That's the one. So, first of all, I'd like to thank you all for allowing us to speak. And with me today are my co-leaders, Gwyneth Hall and Abigail Kittmer, and our Girl Guides, Ava, Aria, Lennon, Mackenzie, Rebecca, Amy, and Daisy, and Gwenny, and our Pathfinder, Sierra. And a little bit about us Girl Guides. So Girl Guides of Canada is a place to spark imagination of girls and to take their place in the world and take action on what matters to them. As female role models, our adult members support girls to achieve and succeed through fun, adventures, challenges, and international experiences. And guiding continues to play a really important role across Canada. So next one should look like a cookie box. That's the one. So just a little bit about how we actually pay for all our projects is it's mainly through cookie sales and through donations of the public to our unit. Can you go back to the second slide? Thank you. So this year we are working on our national service project, Action for Wildlife, and it's in partnership with the Canadian Wildlife Federation. And so you'll have to go past the cookie one. And then after this should be all good. So every 3 years, Girl Guides of Canada puts out a national service project for the units to take on, and it's in a 3-year loop. So we just finished a loop where we did Reconciliation, where it was focused on reconciliation and decolonizing Girl Guides. Now we are taking on Action for Wildlife. So the focus is on conservation, and our unit chose to focus on native bird species. Next one. Some of the things we have learned this year is Canada is home to over 451 native bird species, and birds play a very large role in our ecosystems, including eating bugs, dispersing seeds, and pollinating plants. Unfortunately, over 20% of our bird species are at risk of extinction, and birds are threatened by loss of habitat, loss of food sources, cat predation, and climate change. Next one. So some of the things the girls wanted to focus on is how we can help, and this is the list they came up with. So first of all, they would like to install bird houses or nesting boxes and other shelters so we can protect and encourage birds to live and thrive within our community. We have built 3 bird houses, girls. That we would like the town to install in parks in our community. We'd like the town to encourage residents to plant gardens with diverse native species to give native bird species access to their preferential foods. We would like the town to lead by example and put decals on large windows to prevent birds from flying into them, because that is also a significant threat. And we would like the town to help us spread the word to encourage citizens to help protect and create spaces for our native birds. So, in conclusion, sorry, last one, there we go. The big 2 asks we would like is for the town to install these 3 birdhouses that the girls have made in parks around the town. And then we would like town council to help us educate and encourage others to work on preserving native species of birds in our community. That's it.
I see you smelling those. We made them out of cedar, so
We
they
did.
would have to be painted, and
Yeah.
also so they would degrade.
And the girls did do all of the actual building.
Well, that's
The cutting was done by a crafty volunteer. My dad did all the cutting, so.
Well, that's great. Thank you for your presentation. Are there any questions from council about this project? Councilor Pridham?
It's not really a question, but I appreciate that you've taken on this topic and that you're allowing the community, facilitating education to the community by doing this. And I'd like to, hear you be very vocal on this topic for the next 3 years so that we can all appreciate what you're doing and learn a little along the way.
Okay, thank you. Anything further from council? Councillor Edney.
Thank you, Your Worship. Would it be okay to ask that perhaps you return in 3 years with kind of your conclusion, your information that you've gathered, and let us know?
We could try. Girl Guides also happens in a 3-year loop. So Girl Guides stay as a guide for 3 years if they start at the beginning and continue to the end, and then 3 years of Pathfinders. So some of our girls will no longer be with us anymore, but we can absolutely try and do a wrap up at the end. Yes.
Councillor Howard.
I guess I would say it didn't occur to me that the box of cookies I was left with when I left you guys last time was a bribe, but I think that this is an excellent project, and I am in 100% full support. Well done, girls.
Okay, thank you. Anything further? Councillor Craigmile?
Yeah, great presentation. I mean, great project. I'd like to just say something about what you just, excuse me, produced. I wish some of our other presenters would spend enough time and make a presentation like this that tells us exactly what you're going to do, what your ask is, and we can read it. It's not got too much on the screen or anything, so the presentation is excellent.
Oh, thank you. My day job is I am a teacher, so that pretty much explains everything right there. Yeah.
It was very helpful.
Yes. Yes. Thank you very much. So, thank you for having us here today, and this is a thank you on behalf of the First St. Mary's Girl Guides and Pathfinders. So I'll give them to our mayor.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
There you go. That's very good.
All right.
Chocolate and vanilla. Very good.
Yes.
Thank you all.
Perfect. Thank you.
All right, thank you all for coming. Do you guys have any questions for us? We didn't give you a chance to speak. Anyone have any questions for council? Sure, go ahead. Yeah. No, it's okay.
There's no such thing as stupid questions. No, it's not. You can tell me where you're at.
That's okay, you don't have to, it's fine. Oh, someone in the back? Okay, yeah.
How long have you guys been doing council? How long is the voting kind of work?
So it's a 4-year term, and we have another election coming up in 2026 in October. So when you're elected for council, it's a 4-year term. Yeah. 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 It's the same all across the province. They do it all at once, actually. So it's a busy time. Yeah. Well, sometimes it's not normal, but sometimes they do have referendum questions. Where they'll say to try and get things to pass. Lots of other places in the States you see it more than here, but every once in a while they will put a question on like, should we build a new skateboard park or something like that? They would do things like that sometimes. I don't know that St. Mary's has ever done that I can recall, but some municipalities do. Different things about, can you smoke in parks or can you, all sorts of different things. So that's not unusual. Yeah. Yeah. You have a question? Yeah.
What was the last thing you decided on?
Well, that's a very good question, actually. You're testing my memory. But we just so every time we have a meeting, we have an agenda and we have to publish it for everyone so everyone can see. It's on our website if you guys can go, if you're ever interested about the things we talk about. And so tonight, before we met you guys, we a couple of different things we talked about. We talked about spending some money to do a study about transportation in our community, so about busing, and because that's a big thing. If you guys remember, we were without a taxi service for a while, and we also the provincial government had given us money to try and run a transportation service. It's called PC Connect. So that funding's coming to an end. So we're trying to work with another partner municipality, North Perth, up Listowel Way, to see if we can do something to try and look at our options. So that was the second last thing. And the last thing we decided on is a condominium development. They're building a new project up in the West End, and there's something called a condominium when it's a type of ownership, and so then they had to come to council to make a presentation to us to decide how it goes forward. So those are the kind of stuff we do, and parks and things for recreation, garbage, water, all that fun stuff. Yeah, that'd be the fun part. Yeah. So, okay. So it's really great for you guys to come out. We really appreciate it. I'm going to try and hide the cookies from the rest of council. But we do really appreciate it, and if you guys are welcome to come back anytime, all our meetings are open, so we do really appreciate you coming out tonight. And good luck on your project. Just so you guys see, just so how it works, I have the motion here in front of me. Okay, and so what I'll do is I'll put the motion on the floor, unless there's anything else from council. So the way it works is I would put the motion on the floor that the delegation from the St. Mary's Girl Guides and Pathfinders regarding a request to hang nesting boxes in St. Mary's parks be received, and that council support the St. Mary's Girl Guides and Pathfinders request by hanging 3 nesting boxes in St. Mary's parks with the location to be approved by Public Works, and that council support a media campaign that promotes the preservation of native species of birds. Someone going to move that motion, moved by Councillor Luna, seconder, Councillor Lucas. Any further discussion? Seeing none, I'll call the question. All those in favor? The motion's carried. So there you go. They voted in favor of your idea, okay? So again, thank you very much for coming out. We really appreciate it, and come back and visit anytime. We're really happy when groups do come to speak to council. It's an important part of the process, and we'll do our best to find good places for these. So, all right. Thank you so much. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, and you can go back and watch the whole meeting on YouTube. Yeah. Watch it all on YouTube. We have a channel, St. Mary's YouTube
All right, girls, pull your stuff. Okay. Go straight out to the door, but don't go out. Straight out to the door. Straight out to the door.
Okay, so we're still in open session here. We have 2 items on closed session agenda this evening, so I'll seek a motion that council move into a session that is closed to the public at 6:28 p.m. as authorized on Municipal Act Section 239(2)F. Advice is subject to solicitor-client privilege, including communications necessary for the purpose, and K, a position plan, procedure, criteria, instruction to be applied to any negotiation carried on or to be carried on by or on behalf of the municipality or local board. Someone willing to move that motion? Moved by Councillor Luna, seconded by Councillor Craigmile. All in favor? The motion's carried. So we just pause for a minute here. Jenna gets things ready.